And welcome back to this week's LendingCon 2024 podcast. Everything investment, development, hospitality related. I'm your host, Dan.
And I'm Jim. We're thrilled to be your guides through LendingCon, where with thought-provoking leaders in those areas. You'll see financial, investment, and hospitality experts and hear what to expect from them in August.
Whether you're a seasoned investor or just getting into the lending world, you can't afford to miss meeting these professionals at LendingCon 2024.
This podcast is intended to let you hear about all the latest trends, strategies, and innovations in the lending world. Make your plans now to attend LendingCon 2024 in Orlando.
This two-day inspirational event was created to bring you together with and allow you to network and learn from industry experts, thought leaders, and innovators.
So join us on August 7th and 8th as we explore the future of lending and development at LendingCon Orlando at the Rosen Center in Hydra.
Stay tuned for today's guest and exclusive LendingCon interview with Mr. Sebastian Kaz and Mr. Mariano Ventura with Volt Commercial Solar.
Don't miss out. Stay tuned for our interview and reserve your spot at LendingCon.com.
And welcome back to this week's LendingCon podcast. We're so delighted to have Mr. Mariano Ventura, CEO of Volt Commercial Solar, and Mr. Sebastian Kaz, Chief Commercial Officer of Volt Solar. How are you guys doing today?
Doing great. Thank you. How about
Doing
you?
well. Doing well.
Fantastic to be here.
Good. Glad to hear that. To start off with, I know solar is a hot topic in the market right now. A lot of many homes and businesses are all going and converting to solar. I personally have solar on my home. So I know the benefits of solar. So we're delighted to hear today kind of how the huge impact that the solar can have on our hoteliers. With solar being a more modern catchphrase, Mr. Mariano, can you tell us about Volt's history and the solar history?
Yeah, our company was born almost 10 years ago, back in 2015. It was born in Latin America, initially focused in the commercial solar segment and doing some residential solar projects too. Rapidly spreading out through the region to several countries. In 2019, we decided the company to start focusing entirely in the USA market. And then we started an operation in Florida, in Miami. The beginning focused in the residential segment of the market due to the market opportunities and doing some commercial and industrial projects occasionally. Back in 2023, we raised a capital round from a private equity group, and we launched officially our C&I division, while also empowering our residential segment too. We also opened some other related divisions in order to provide more value to our customers, like HVAC and roofing. And this year, we are very, very happy to see that most of the companies we are contacting and service and providing service to are understanding and realizing that the moment to go solar is now, in order to get advantage of all the benefits available at the moment and getting prepared for the future.
Gotcha. So it sounds like you guys are slowly growing across the country. You start out in America, Central America, South America, Latin America area, and now you're moving into the U.S. market. Do you guys have plans to go over to like European countries as well, or stopping at the U.S.?
For the moment, all of our focus is in the U.S. There's plenty of opportunity in the market and a lot of needs, the energy sector. But the opportunity is to go everywhere. So when the time comes, we're going to go to every point where our company can provide value to customers.
Gotcha. That sounds good. So, Sebastian, with you guys focusing just on the U.S. market right now, who would you say is a good candidate to go for solar?
Well, that's a great question because, we get this a lot and people keep asking whether they should be looking at solar or not. The quick answer is anybody with the electricity bill is a candidate. And when you look at businesses, we've done some surveys and we talk to different industries, and energy cost is usually in the top 3 elements of cost that companies worry about. So definitely anybody who runs a high electrical bill, is a good candidate for solar. Now, that's one side of the equation, which is the spending. Now, the next phase will be to look at where to install it. And usually, what we look at is we have several options. We do rooftops, we can do ground mounted, we can do carports. But the traditional way of doing it is with the rooftop. And anybody, a rule of thumb, anybody who's got more than 25,000 square feet of roof will be a great candidate for solar, because we're looking for something that is going to be big enough to save you most of your electrical bill. So we're looking at buildings in the commercial side, whether it's hotels, convenience stores, supermarkets, shopping plazas, office buildings, residential, even multifamily residents are also candidates for that. And right now is, in terms of candidate, anybody's a good candidate because, like Mariano was just saying, the benefits are so important and so attractive from the government that anybody who is thinking of doing something for the environment and have sustainability in mind should be looking at it right now. This is the moment to do it.
So you said if it has 2,500 square feet of roof,
25,000.
So if I have a property that doesn't have 25,000 on top, can I do some on top and some on the ground?
Right, absolutely. Especially for in suburban areas, a lot of the companies that we're dealing with may not have a big roof, but they have a lot of ground behind the property or the site that could be used as well. So there's a combination of possibility to do ground mounted and rooftop and still get the benefit.
And just
so you can be exactly you can be really creative. At the end of the day, the idea is you want to offset as much as possible from your meter, that you can save all the electricity, which basically what behind solar, the idea is you do solar and you freeze your cost of electricity for the next 25 years compared to the utility company that goes on a good day up 4 to 5% every year, if not more.
Right.
The other thing is we are about to face one of the worst electrical crises in the country with with cryptocurrency, with AI, and all the things that use so much electricity. Very soon, the grid is not going to be able to provide enough electricity for everybody, and if it does, it's going to be extremely expensive. Wow. So that's another reason why people should be looking at doing solar.
So, Mariano, what is the process of getting a solar proposal and then the installation? What kind of walk us through how the whole process unfolds?
That's a very interesting question. I would actually say that the process is really simple, at least from the customer perspective. We do the hard job, if you will. First of all, we need to understand the customer needs and objectives. That's our business philosophy. We never go to make a solar proposal to any customer without first understanding what the customer is actually pursuing. I would just summarize the main, three things customers are actually focused on today, which is saving energy costs. Most of the projects we are actually analyzing with customers going a range of 30% to 70% energy costs. Then taking advantage of all the current available tax credits and depreciations and all the benefits that the government is actually offering to customers to go solar. In general, most of the projects are actually entitled to go and get almost 50% of the investment from those benefits. And then something that we are seeing every time more often is actually going and applying green marketing and differentiation from competition. That's something very important that customers actually are focusing, because they want to provide better services to the end consumers. Once we understood the customer needs and objectives, we start developing the solar proposal, the solar project. That starts with the analysis of the energy consumption, particularly for the customer. That's on our own. We do all the job, and we only need from the customer the electricity bills. From there, we get all the information we need in order to go and make the whole analysis. Then we start designing the solar array, the full solar solution. And that's very important to say that we do that 100% tailor-made for every customer in order to cover all the customer needs, but also the specific things for, as Sebastian was mentioning before, the size of the roof, the shapes, the shading, and the location, and solar radiance, and everything. Then we calculate all the financials from this because that's an investment that customers do for their businesses, and we make all the calculations, including all the tax benefits and depreciations and everything. And finally, we make the whole proposal, the whole project to the customer. To this moment, all this job is with no cost and with no hiring commitment whatsoever. So we actually encourage customers to get a proposal and not feeling committed to anything because there's a lot to gain from that. After we submitted the proposal and explained to the customer all the proposal, of course, they have their internal processes and they make questions and we follow up with meetings, and then once they make the decision, they accept the solar project and the solar proposal we make to them. We take care of everything in a turnkey project. So we do all the engineering, permitting, procurement, installation, then finally the interconnection and startup.
Pretty good.
Yeah, it sounds like it's pretty user friendly to the consumer, so that's good.
Especially if you guys take
Exactly.
care up to that point without any commitment from them. At what point does the commitment begin on their part? If you do all the site survey and you do all the planning and the organizing, and what happens if they decide, well, they're not going to do it or it doesn't work? Do you guys just eat the cost of that, or do you still have to put that back on them as a cost, or how does that work?
The way it works is that once we submit the solar proposal to them, we actually try to do it in person. In every case, we explain all the project to the customers. We get all the questions and concerns they might have about this, and we keep the process open for them to go discuss internally and everything, and we interact with the customer back and forth until they have all the information they need in order to make a good decision. Once they say we want to go for this, we perform a full contract, and we analyze that contract, and we arrange all the details with the customer, and we sign a contract, and that's a binding contract, if you will. So we are not only customer is obligated to go for the project, but also we are obligated to perform for them.
So, Sebastian, what programs are there today to incentivize solar energy? I'm sure there's government subsidies and so forth. So,
right, as I was saying before, this is the right time to do it, if nothing else, because you don't want to leave money on the table. So today the government has a lot of programs that I'm going to detail in a second to incentivize people to go solar. What we tell people all the time is, if you ever thought about doing it, do it now that there is an incentive, because like we've seen in other countries, there's going to be a time, and we've seen in the US with other parts of the economy, incentives become a penalty later on. So there's going to be a time where the country is going to try to go zero emissions, or they have a goal for going renewable, and those that don't have it will have to pay a tax or a penalty on their energy. So like I was said, would you rather do it when they pay you to do it, or when they charge you for doing it? So I'd say we do it now that we get money from the government. So some of the incentives that exist today, there are, there's many federal programs, there are state programs, county, cities. There is money everywhere to go solar right now. But just some of the most common ones are from the government. There's what is called the ITC, the investment tax credit, which is for any investment in renewable energy. 30% of your investment, you get it back from the government in the form of a tax credit. Now, it's important to distinguish here between a tax credit and a tax deduction. This is not a deduction. This is a credit. So let's say you spend $100,000 on a solar system, 30,000 of that is a credit towards your tax liability. So if a business has to pay 50,000 in taxes, you take 30,000 credit and you only pay 20,000 in taxes right off the top. And for companies that have very creative accountants that don't have to pay taxes, you can take that tax deferred for up to 22 years until you use it all. So you don't lose that opportunity. Even for non-profit organizations that don't have to pay taxes, then the IRS will write you a check for 30% of your investment and send it to you. So there's no way you're not going to utilize that. Worst case scenario, if it's neither one of them, you can also sell that tax credit in a regulated market. So you monetize 30% of that investment, regardless of what form or company, what kind of tax situation do you have, you get back from the government. On top of that, there's about roughly 18% additional credit from the government in the form of a depreciation. So without getting too technical, you get to accelerate the depreciation. It usually takes 27 years. You do it over 6 years. And when you calculate the tax effect of that, it's about 18% more. So when you put those two together, as Mariano was saying before, almost 50%, 48% of the project, it gets subsidized by the government. So again, $100,000 project will only cost you 50. But like they said, but wait, there is more. There are cases where there are programs. I mean, there is a program, specific one from the USDA for rural areas. Now, rural areas and the eyes of the USDA is about 95% of the country. So once you get out of the big cities, you can qualify for a 50% grant. This is not a loan. This is not a credit. It's a grant for 50% of your project up to $1 million. So put in other terms, if you have a $2 million project, and you're in the right part of the country, you can get 1 million grant from the government and the other million in tax credit. So you can end up with zero out of pocket.
Put it on my building for free.
I know, right?
That's outstanding.
So
I call that a no-brainer.
yeah,
You're right.
so you use the credit and the grant together,
Right.
and you get it for free.
And you reduce my
Absolutely.
energy bill at the same time.
At the same time, so then over the long run, you're not paying money on your electricity throughout the year. Wow. So
and if you like to do something for the environment, like I said,
Sure.
how would you like to help the planet and get paid for it?
Yeah,
yeah,
that's a
that's a
bonus
good
right
thing.
there.
Now, is that would that be just for commercial, or is that for personal homes as well?
No, that's only for commercial projects,
Gotcha.
and it has to be again in a specific part of the country, and it doesn't have to be an agricultural business. It's anything in those areas labeled as a small business, which again, in the guidelines of the USDA, that's any company with up to 5,000 employees.
So if I have a storage unit, that would be considered a commercial property.
Absolutely.
And I could get the credit, I could get the grant, and get solar on my storage building for free, essentially.
Pretty much.
Absolutely.
Huh.
As long as you're in that 95% area.
Yeah.
Right.
So you mentioned,
Yeah, if you're in downtown Orlando, you're not going to qualify.
yeah, probably not, but just out where we are, probably
Yeah,
would qualify
probably
because
would.
we're in
Absolutely.
outside of the
Absolutely.
city limits of that. This podcast brought to you by IHRMC, the power behind LendingCon 2024. So you mentioned USDA loans. Are there other financing that can go with that, like EB loans or SBA loans? Any of those work with these solar projects as well?
Well, so once you size the project and you apply all these benefits, you are left with what's your responsibility. But even for the full project, because these loans and grants come, over a period of 6 to 12 to 18 months back from the government, you still need to think about financing. So the way to do that is when Mariano was just talking about how we do our proposal. Part of our proposal is we show the potential customers different alternatives, do all cash, self-finance it, and then we have arrangements. We don't finance, but we have arrangements with lenders that will have different plans for whether it's a lease, a solar loan. There's specific loans for solar,
Mm,
and you can use some of those. You can also apply for PACE, which is a program from the government that is for financing this type of rehab projects, and they charge you back on your property taxes. They collect through your property tax.
great. We did a podcast with Miss Ann on that on
On
CPACE and
CPACE.
CPACE lending. So
There you
if you
go.
want information on that, go check out that podcast as well. So works out
Shameless
well.
plug there. Good
Perfect.
job.
Love the shameless
We
plug.
will.
Got to do it. Yeah.
So, Mariana, how much maintenance do these solar panels need? What kind of warranty do they have? Give me on the nuts and bolts of it.
Not much really, other than occasional failures and or breaks, damages that are actually atypical. Solar panels are actually very noble materials, and maintenance is actually more about keeping the solar installations clean and full operational with preventative maintenance. Keep in mind that solar panels they have 0.5% yearly degradation. So that's very, very tiny. That means that at the end of a 25-year lifetime of the solar plant, the capacity of each of the panels installed are pretty much 90%, are almost 90% as efficient as they were when they were installed, 25 years ago.
Oh wow.
So yeah, that talks about the novelty of the solar panels. So actually, we consider in all the calculations we make, and we make all the solar projects, and we present you all the calculations and everything to our customers with 25 years. Even though we know that they can operate for many more years, but answering about the warranties from most of the manufacturers, they offer 25 years warranty. And that's the reason why we are making all the calculations and everything. We calculate the whole lifetime of the solar projects in 25 years. But they are, as I said, pretty good materials, and they can operate for 30 or more years. And that's a beauty, because the customer invests for 25 years. The internal rate of returns they get are fantastic. The payback is a lot shorter, and they get a solar plant that can operate for more than 30 years.
So, Sebastian, you were talking a lot about environment, saving the environment, and being a good consumer of our world. And so the question then about electrical vehicles, what are EV chargers good investments for these commercial properties as well?
Well, that's a very hot topic these days, because it's not only a very good investment. I'll give you a couple of measurements on that, but it's becoming a must, a necessity that every business should be considering today. I just came back from California, actually, where I was at a conference on sustainability and ESG reporting, and all the big developers are extremely concerned with that. Some of the regulations we haven't seen in Florida yet, but in other parts of the country, today they require you to have 20% of your parking spaces to be EV charger ready. So that is just, again, from regulation standpoint, but think about it from the marketing side. If you look at rent.com or realtor.com today, you have a filter you can apply to properties with EV chargers. So imagine if people just click on that box and you own a multifamily residence, you just being excluded from the market of a potential tenant because you don't have an EV charger. So that's how critical things are. If you have a shopping plaza, or if you have a hotel, let's say if a hotel on both sides of the road, and on one has EV charging or the other doesn't, people will go to the one with the EV charger because that's a necessity today. So all those are things, in terms of marketing. If you have an office building, you have to have it. People will not choose you as an option if you don't have one, and they can go somewhere else. So that's just on the marketing and image and perception side. Now, we all, like I said, like to do the right thing, but we like to make money too. So when you have that, you can drive, depending on the kind of business, a higher rent for apartments, a higher rate on a hotel, and you can charge, then have a revenue stream coming from those EV chargers that on an average you should have a payback of about 2 to 3 years. So it's a small investment. Let's say somewhere between $7,000 and $10,000 per charger, and your payback is between 2 and 3 years. So it's a very small investment with a great chance for a return.
So the government won't subsidize those for me too?
Hell yeah, absolutely they will. Same thing I just mentioned for the solar panel will apply to EV chargers. So
Really?
the way
Oh, I was joking. That's
absolutely.
great.
Well,
So you
but
could
just
use
because it's
USDA.
you, we'll put those in there too.
All right, throw them in.
So you can do grants for the EV chargers as well as the solar panels. I did not know
And
that. I
then
didn't realize that that was the case.
in the best of both worlds, then because one of the ironies of this business is a lot of people are driving electrical vehicles because they want to do good
Yep.
for the environment, and then they go and charge it, and those chargers are plugged to the wall,
Correct.
which is a bit of a contradiction, if you will. So in the perfect world, then, and that's what we're doing now with a lot of our customers, shopping plazas, hotels especially, we're installing solar systems that where those charges will be feeding from. So now you get the best of both worlds. You're saving the money on you generate money on your chargers, and you're charging those from a solar system.
Yeah, that
makes sense. So your panels would do not only your building and your pool and all of that, but it would also do the EV charge. You just have to put enough panels out on top of that. So
absolutely,
that's pretty good. So Mariano, why would you encourage people to attend LendingCon? I know you guys are going to be there, and I know you guys are going to be talking about your solar and being able to give some great opportunities for our attendees there. So what would be a good reason why you would encourage people to attend there?
So I believe, I've been going around for, I would say, some years in different industries, countries, and the power of connecting people is fantastic. So not only we can collaborate each other by getting to know about the other needs and the resources that we can put in place in order to serve others. And I believe in the power of these big conventions and occasions in the ones you can interact with other companies, not only to offer what you can do for them, what you can do with your services, but also in order to learn about their opportunities, about their needs and the objectives and things they need in order to fulfill their customers and their businesses. So I truly believe this is a fantastic opportunity. This is going to be our first LendingCon conference, and we're very excited to not only to go and talk about our business, but more than that, to go and learn about the others that will be attending, to see how we can serve them and what we can learn for our business too.
Great. It would be a great networking opportunity for you, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's great networking. So, Sebastian, last question over to you. When they come to LendingCon, obviously this is you guys' first LendingCon event that you've been to. What can they expect by meeting you there? Are you going to be able to talk plans for them, give them ideas? What can they expect from meeting you there at your booth at LendingCon?
Well, for once, we're trying to, we find this industry on this business we're in to be very consultative. So there's a lot of education needs to be done around solar and renewables. So we hope that we can help people learn more about this business, learn the possibilities they have for their own business and how that could be applied to them. But on top of that, we're going to have a very special offer for people that attend LendingCon and coming to see us is we're going to offer a free estimate for everybody that goes there. If they give us their business, we're going to do a free analysis, and they're going to get a $100 Amazon gift certificate just for letting us do their quote.
Sign me up.
I think I'll definitely stop by there. $100 for you, $100 for me.
$100 for you, everybody.